California Rep. Katie Porter predicts Trump will soon, quote, have his demise. I don't know what his demise is going to be, but he's going to have his demise.
Mm-hmm. I do think that we're allowing, in a larger way, the fear of Trump. The stakes are so high for LGBTQ rights, for abortion rights, for all of these things that we care passionately about, to allow certain forces that benefit from the status quo to convince us we can't afford to change and we can't afford to be different. And I think the ultimate problem with that is we're having a real problem with younger voters. We're having a problem with people choosing to register no party preference.
Yep.
Like, how do we build our party? What is our forward future message? And I think if I take anything away from this race, I really tried to focus on that. What are we going to do next? Where do we go in our economy? Where do we go in our society? And I think that the specter of Donald Trump looms large, and I absolutely feel that. And so people were like, we got to think every decision has to be made in tension with Trump. Soon, Trump will lose, or go to prison, or I don't know, have a heart attack. I'm not sure.
We call it the hamburger.
I don't know what his demise is going to
heaven.
be, but he'll have his demise. And
The hamburger from heaven.
The hamburger from heaven.
Jesus, these people are sick.
Dude, Trump was the first
And he was an
president that
Obama,
was cool with gay marriage,
he was
right?
an Obama speechwriter. That guy.
We had Keith Olbermann was one can hope or whatever he said when.
Oh right.
Yeah, I mean these people are deranged.
You know, we have talked about Joe Biden being very old, nearing the end of his life multiple times.
That's right.
Both those guys are very old. It's not out of the question to talk about either of them dying.
No.
But none of us have said we hope and pray for a hamburger from heaven.
Yeah, that's not the way forward.
Yeah, that's not what we thought.
I have
right?
repeatedly said I want Joe to comfortably sit in his wheelchair with a blanket on his lap in the sun and enjoy his days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep saying he should be surrounded by his grandbabies.
Yes.
Even that little one in Tennessee.
Well, for a time, Katie Porter was perceived as being kind of one of the future representatives of the Democrats. I mean, they're such deeply unimpressive people, and I'm telling you, in all sincerity, the fact that these people rule over me, every day I wake up pissed about it. Like none of them are superior to anyone sitting in this room right now. They're just criminals to their core. They're not even good at lying, but they made a career out of it. They're reprehensible. They're just really, really bad human beings. And I don't know how we've gotten to this situation other than to say that public education has made people so stupid that they continue to put these scumbags in power. And no one ever even reflects on it. It's amazing.
I also think that the power makes people scumbags. The opportunity to grab whatever you need and to be given things that you didn't know existed by corporations and stuff like. I don't even think we should have humans in that role. I think we're getting to the point where that kind of thing can be automated. Maybe not all of it.
I go the other route and say that those roles just shouldn't exist.
How can you uncorrupt that system? It's totally corrupt. The whole way it's built is like a corrupted pyramid.
Well, this is why usually political establishments swing hard left to hard right, is that once it gets this corrupted, it requires a strongman dictator to come in and arrest and lock up all these criminals. But then because he's holding that ring of power so close, he's oftentimes corrupted himself. We're going to find out a lot about Bukele in the not too distant future with El Salvador, because what he did was basically miraculous, but he took extraordinary power to be able to do so.
And everyone's happier.
They are for now, but will he relinquish it? Will he still honor his principles? I don't know. I think
he will. The question is, though, it's not so easy to just say, will he give up his power? The question is, what if far left WEF sponsored dude comes up and says, vote for me? Should he then give up his power to them? Yeah. The answer is no.
Yeah, and I agree, obviously, but it's still, can you have a stranglehold on power and maintain who you are? There's very few people. Ron Paul is one of the only. Thomas Massey are the type of guys that I think could actually be that close to the ring and not lose their soul. It's extraordinarily rare.
Have you guys heard this stuff? Like, I hear these rumors. I love the eschatology stuff about the red heifer. We talked about the red heifer. You guys know the red heifer? Mm-hmm. So apparently there's like potentially a bunch of red heifers that may...
Just explain that really quick for people that are listening.
All right, so I don't know a whole lot about it, only a little bit because people have brought it up on the show and we looked into it. We talked about it on the Culture War.
At least you know it's a female. I didn't even know Cloward and Piven were females. So.
Well, no, Cloward's a guy. Francis...
Sorry. Yeah, one of
you don't know who Francis Fox Piven is?
No, I do. I read the paper. I didn't look into
the Weatherman.
I know.
All that stuff. So the red heifer is basically, there's a prophecy that if there's a perfect red heifer with no blemish, they can sacrifice it at the third temple or whatever, which signifies like it will bring about the Messiah. And so there are Christians who believe it's the return of Jesus, right. And there are Jews who believe it is the first coming of their Messiah. but that puts them at direct odds with Muslim nations because they would basically have to. What's that mosque? I don't know enough about it.
Oh, the
El
one.
Aqsa?
Yeah.
El Aqsa.
Yes, they would have to
That's the
because
one.
they would have to take that position so they could sacrifice the heifer. And then now we've got there's this solar eclipse coming, and then a lunar eclipse, and it's forming an X over a certain part of the country.
Yeah, a bunch of towns named Nevea. I read this.
Right.
long thread about it.
Yeah.
I learned last
I didn't
week-
look too much into it, but basically people are like, yeah, the world's ending.
I learned last week, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that studies Judaism, that the second coming of Christ is going to be either economically and peacefully, or it's going to be a warlord that does it through death and destruction and chaos. So we get to pick.
So we have no
right
idea.
now. We're,
we
we're
get to
choosing our
choose.
path. It's
All
going
right,
to be
cool.
one or the other.
Cool.
And it's either going to be a very wealthy guy that can unite the world, or it's going to be a killer that unites the world through military.
I just
force.
got to take this opportunity to shout out Candace Owens. This lady has been going to the mat, fighting off the recent attacks that she's been dealing with, and I've been blown away at her courage that she's been willing to do so. She also was kind enough to have Dave Smith on the show, and they had a fantastic conversation. So shout out to Candace.
Yeah, and Candace, I don't think we had that story pulled up at all. Candace was talking to a rabbi, and he got upset and said that you're being anti-Semitic. But the first thing he says is you're being misogynistic, or anti. He's just using buzzword. He doesn't even know what he's saying. He says that she's being misogynistic. That should be the headline. The rabbi told her she's being misogynistic.
I watched the entire 90-minute interview, and it was spectacular having her actually play the content of her having the conversation with Tucker, and then the guy doubling down right after she proved out, I condemned Hamas. I said it right here. And he's just like, yeah, but it was, moral equivalency and yada, yada, yada. And it was just like, man, you can't win. You can't win. But I think she did an incredible job at staying calm, because I could not have sat there for 90 minutes having someone calling me an anti-Semite over and over again.
Especially on video chat.
Back to what we were talking about with eschatology. I have this image where we had annular solar eclipse in October and then total solar eclipse April 8th. And the X is over Texas.
That's cool.
That's very close to where all the bad stuff is happening right now. It's basically right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man, this simulation is awesome.
And
What
it's
is it,
also
McAllen?
SpaceX, right?
Or is it no Eagle Pass?
Eagle Pass,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
It
Eagle
goes
Pass.
right over Eagle Pass, and like 20 different towns named Nevea. I was like, what are the odds of this?
How do you spell the Nevea?
I think it's Naveeah. It's like heaven backwards. Yeah. I could be wrong on the spelling, but I read a thread. It seemed like some schizo post. I have no idea if it's legitimate, but I always find this stuff very interesting, regardless of whether or not it's true.
I'm finding more and more the synergy of reality. It is very real. The internet itself is an aspect of this, our synergy. We're coalescing and coordinating as the species, and it's like, this whatever you want to call it, resonance is pretty.
There's
cool.
a lot of people that are in positions of power that do believe in this stuff, and I think that many of them are actually trying to drive us towards it. And that gives me great pause as a non-believer that you have people that have access to nuclear weapons that are like thinking, hey, we got to make this happen. It's like, good Lord, man. No, thank you.
That sounds demonic. I'm not very religious, but like you're going to try and force a prophecy. That sounds demonic. Those things are supposed to happen out of benevolence, I think.
To me, it seems as if that would be against God's will. I would hope that
it's the will of man. They're forcing the will of man. That's
above
not,
God's. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my non-believer belief, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I just hope we don't. I hope I don't live through Revelations, man. Come on, don't do this to me.
We are in Revelations right now. That's what the internet is kind of part of that tool of revealing. What
they got to you too, Ian. You believe it now?
Well, I don't. I mean, I do believe. Regardless of the Bible, we're in a time of revealment right now.
Well, that's true, definitely, and I hope that that's the case. Speaking of revealing, I gotta deliver this to you. This is from the demonic one herself, Josie the Redhead Libertarian.
Is it a pie?
No,
Take it back.
I'm not half.
She painted you some artwork, so she asked me to deliver that to you.
Oh man,
Is it a painting of a pie?
probably.
Well, while Tim opens this, I'll plug my Twitter at Liberty Lockpod. Follow me, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a picture of Mr. Bokus.
Yeah.
It is a
Shout out to
painting.
that guy.
Legend.
Oh man.
Legend.
He will
that's
live.
cute.
He will live in eternity.
Yep.
What a
That was
great
him.
cat. That guy was so unique as a cat.
Well, thank you, Josie.
Thanks, Josie.
What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, they're predicting Trump's death and all that stuff. So we were talking about the end of days. I brought that up because people have brought it up to me. Because if there's one thing people pay attention to, it's not politics. It's loose eschatology. And what I mean is, it's not literal eschatology. It's basically just being like, I heard a rumor the world's ending.
Right.
And then when you look at how crazy things have gotten, and you've got this like solar eclipse and then solar eclipse making an X right over basically Eagle Pass,
That's wild. That's so weird. I mean, the sun is a magnetic being, so is the earth and so are we, but that's pretty well. The moon, it's shoot, that is so cool. What is going on, dude? They're going to talk about this time in history for like 1 billion years.
If it's actually Revelations, there's going to be no talk about what's going on right now, I don't think.
I'm not sure. The apocalypse, I think that comes out, we come out of it. Okay.
Well, those that are left behind, is that the case?
Yeah, it's what is it, hell on earth?
Right.
For eternity or whatever?
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to be having many books written or conversations if in fact that's what we're facing.
I'm just imagining like, well, we're all doing the show, and then all of a sudden like Seamus just starts lifting up from his seat, and we're like, wait a minute. And then he's like, oh, I guess it's happening. And he just rips to the ceiling, and then he's gone, and we're like, damn.
What are you going to do?
God would never accept that alcoholic. Shots fired, Seamus. I'm just upholding Luke's legacy of talking crap to Seamus.
I think ultimately it's about doing the work every day, because we can talk about what's going to happen in the future, but all it is we are just living the present every moment.
Well,
so the future is the moment next time.
Yeah.
And we've got to create the best version of it.
Exactly. And I think this has been, the point that I've been trying to make with my Twitter and my show, Liberty Lockdown, is like, I'm trying to reach the libertarian audience that is already, in terms of understanding the paradigm that we're existing under currently, they're miles ahead of the average person, because they've been very skeptical of institutional power. They've been very skeptical of the media. They've been very skeptical of the financial institutions. All of these people are very, very advanced when it comes to trying to become independent and function outside of the system. But I think that many of them still fall prey to not understanding the complexity of the power structure that rules over us. And this is why I think that the open borders issue has been such a dividing one. And I think this is why, this shock jock type posting where it's like arm the migrants really doesn't do us justice as messengers, because we still function under a democratic system. People are still going to have to vote for us. And if your perception is that there is any electoral pathway forward, which obviously they don't think so, because otherwise you wouldn't be posting something like that, it is extraordinarily unpopular to say that the 30 million plus, or the 5 million, 7 million that have come across during the Biden administration, many of which are gang members, I might add. Not all, not even close to all, a very small fraction, but some of them are very violent people. And for the LP Louisiana to say, arm them, is just so detached from reality.
Yeah, what they need to focus on is, yes, immigrants can have guns if they're legally here. That's okay. You don't have to be a citizen to have a gun. You got to be legal. You got to be here legally. Yeah. That's it, man.
Well, my perception of is this. Everyone has a God-given right to defense. You have every right to defend yourself in the nation that you live in. Not everybody has a right to live here. So that's the dividing line. I'm not saying that the Bill of Rights grants us our right to self-defense. That is God-given. However, not everybody is an American.
Yeah, but still, if a dude's a Palestinian in the United States and he gets jumped, he has the right to defend himself.
Of course
that's a human right. That has nothing to do with the United States.
Of course, but do you want people that came to this country illegally, that have criminal records from the nations they're coming from, to be armed legally in America?
No, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. But that now they're going to tell you that you're against the human right of self-defense.
Or they'll try and do amnesty, and then they'll say, look, now they're all legal.
Exactly.
And I'll be like, oh God, I'm eating my own words. It's legal now. And I said, all you need to do is make it legal.
And then the electoral outcome becomes an impossibility. It's just complete uniparty rule for the rest of our existence.
That's this election.
So we got to resist this amnesty crap.
If Donald Trump does not win, it is going to be Democrat single party North Korea.
But speaking about like just acknowledging reality, okay, like Ron Paul was saying, he believes the American Republic was lost November 22nd, the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So like, Trump, really? You think he's going to stand up against the empire? Like, we know what happened to all those Roman emperors. They just kept getting killed one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And like, we're kind of at that stage. I'm just trying to be real. I don't want this to happen, but I'm just saying I'm not going to pretend like I didn't think it.
This is an interesting opportunity to talk about a metaphor that I've been thinking about. Nero was actually the first, Roman leader that was responsible for essentially manipulating currency. For over 300 years, I think it's the denarius, the silver coin, held 95% purity. And it was Nero was the first ruler that decided to to melt it down and start to debase their currency. And in short order, every ruler did the same, and it ended up being confetti. And I think that, in my opinion, you could either point at Greenspan, you can point at Bernanke. One of them was Nero, and I don't know which. I don't know who to actually hang that title on.
Oh, it would have been Greenspan.
Yeah, probably. But in terms of like actual just profligate spending, I mean, you could give it to Powell because it's totally out of control, even though he's been hiking interest rates, and I respect that. Regardless, the people that are in control of the money supply in this country have absolutely doomed our children to a future that is much more destitute than our own, and I am never going to forgive them for it. Fortunately, people like me that understand this have already divested ourselves from the U.S. dollar to a large extent. It's just not very easy, and it doesn't bode well for a functioning civilization moving forward.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.